Hi, everybody. My name is Dan Jablons from Retail Smart Guys, and I'm here to present this webinar to you called Retail Survivors. Who's surviving COVID-19 well? How are they doing it? And how can you apply that to your store? My thanks to Global Pet Expo for letting me make this presentation to you. I'm excited to be here and excited to share with you some of the information that I've gotten by talking to retailers all across the country, and actually in 16 different countries. Retailers that are bigger than you, retailers that are smaller than you, and also lots of people that service retail. So I've gotten sort of a global industry input into this whole thing to figure out and see what's working and what's not working. I want to share that with you so that your success is guaranteed through the remainder of the time that we're trying to fight our way through the end of this what I hope is the end of this virus, right? And then some things and some tricks and some tips that will help you not only as you're trying to navigate now, but also as you get through into the second half of the year, where I think things will get a lot better. So, okay, first a little bit about me. So my company, as I mentioned, is Retail Smart Guys. We specialize in merchandise planning, open to buy, making sure you have the right inventory, that you're turning well, that kind of thing. I personally have been in retail since I'm 17 years old, and I have over 40 years of experience, so you can do the math on that one. I've been in retail for a long time, serviced all different sectors of retail, big retail, small retail, etc. So I come to you with a lot of retail experience, and I love independent retail, frankly. I've worked with some of the gigantic guys and some of the, and worked with a lot of the independent retailers too. I like working with independent retail much more. It's much more creative, it's much more fun, and we can have a faster impact and a greater impact faster than anywhere else, okay? Now, because I live in Los Angeles, I think it's a law here that 1 out of every 3 people has to say they're an actor. But I actually have done some acting. You can see me there with Larry David. I was his lawyer on Curb Your Enthusiasm for a little while. And then I also did a commercial recently for Facebook. So you'll see me around TV a little bit. But most of my time and effort and energy is spent here working with you guys in retail and helping you figure out retail. Okay? So I created this Retail Survivors webinar. Actually, it was created for a whole other group too, but the idea of it was like, okay, how do we survive 2020? And how do we make our way through all that, right? So I a little bit stole the Survivor logo, but there you go. So what I'm going to do is share with you how these guys are surviving. How did they reopen well? What are they doing now to stay viable? And what do we need to do for the rest of this year into spring of next year to make sure that we survive well? Okay, that's kind of a critical, important point to this whole thing, okay? I'm not going to say the things that you've heard for forever. These are unprecedented times. It's never going to be the same. Not everybody's going to make it, blah, 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 that kind of stuff. It's a good time, you know, all that stuff that you've heard for forever. Aren't you, like, so sick of that? Don't you just want to, like, kill the next person who says that to you? I know I feel that way, so don't even worry about that, okay? I'm not going to bother with that, but what I am going to tell you is that this is the time to get as excited, if not more excited, as you were when you first opened your store, okay? This is the moment to get pumped up, to actually think of it almost as if your store is opening again. There are going to be people that are going to pop in that haven't popped in before. There are going to be people that pop into your store because other stores didn't make it, right? So now is the time to generate excitement and get the message out that your store is clean, safe, fresh, and fun, and you have amazing product. I'll talk more about that as we go on here, okay? So I'm going to lay this out to a whole bunch of different areas in terms of, like, what should the store look like? What should my merchandise flow look like? What's working in terms of marketing? What's working in terms of selling, staffing, and a little bit about finance at the end. So I'm going to have to move kind of quickly on this, but I'm going to have my contact information at the end of this. So if you feel like, gee, I'd like to know more about that, you're going to get to reach out to me for free, and I'm going to answer any question that you have, okay? So we'll go through these, okay? So first, your store appearance, okay? Look, here's the thing. The storefront has never been more important than it is right now, right? You need lots of signage about the safety, but they don't have to be negative signs. It doesn't have to be the, you're not allowed in here without, that kind of thing, right? There's going to be lots of negative signage in lots of other stores, so you can keep it positive, right? So instead of making them to no's, make them yeses. As an example, I have a pet store that basically said we have to make sure that there's at least Great Danes distance between us. Gets the message out, right? We understand that means it's going to be a big distance between us, right? That's a fun way to say it that aligns with what your industry is and what your store is about, without it being, you must do this, right? People are so sick of rules right now, right? So just, again, show that you're clean, show that you're safe, show that it's fun, show that you've got great products now. And now more than ever is an important time to have your windows change every single week so people see activity happening at your store. Okay? So make those windows change all the time. Get involved in that. Keep things going so people kind of go, oh, what's going on over there? Because when they start to venture out and when they start to travel, they may, they may not hit you the first time, but they're going to hit you the second time if they see that things are different. They see there's some activity and some life there. People are starving for life, starving for that kind of thing. So I think the more you show it by changing your windows in the front, the better. Okay? You want to make sure you've got some social distancing going. So have some fun stores. Put some stickers on the ground. Probably most of you have done that already, okay? Signage, that kind of stuff. Doesn't have to be serious like we talked about before. And if you've got some store audio, every once in a while, just sneak in a thing. Hey, listen, let's make sure we're keeping the social distancing happening. I realize it's a controversial thing. And I realize that there are some people that don't believe in keeping social distancing happening right now. But you know what? For the safety of your staff, for the safety of your other customers, that kind of stuff, and because we're still not really out of the woods yet, you want to make sure that they're doing it. That's my belief anyway. And so these little reminders around the store are kind of important. Okay? So your display now has a bigger role because if I'm still going to be socially distanced a little bit, right, I have to make sure that the displays tell the story with great signage, that they're multi-level, that they've got props all over the place, we're cross-merchandised, and that they constantly changed, right? Your signs have to be great too. There's got to be a lot of great signage around them that explains things to people. Years ago, I did a webinar about millennials. And in doing research in terms of how, first off, let me just say this. Let me get this out of the way before I go any further, right? We talk about millennials as if they beamed here from some other planet, right? Well, we made them ourselves. Okay? I have a son. He's a millennial. I text him more than I talk to him. I know the rules. I know what's going on. So anyway, they like signage. They like to learn stuff when they're in the store. I learned that by doing some of the research. So the more signs that you have about product or about how they're going to eventually use the product is kind of everything. Okay. So you want to make sure that your merchandise displays basically are selling the product for you. That was always true, but never more true than now. Better lighting than before, better signage, mix things up, cross merchandising, that kind of thing is really super important. Okay. So now is a good time to walk your floor and look for places where there are speed bumps, right? Where do I have to stop and look at some great merchandise, some things I haven't thought about before, some new fun things that are in the store that haven't been there before, okay? Where can I bundle and cross merchandise? And are these little speed bumps set up in such a way that people can reach the stuff, but by the same token, can people get around me if they still want a social distance without being nervous or weird about it? And certainly now more than ever, lighting in your store is everything. A lot of you guys have already started to adopt LED lighting. You'll be amazed at how effectively that spotlights the product that's on the floor. Do it now. Make those like shrines to merchandise in those individual areas, okay? I've talked a lot about signage already. We'll keep going here, but it's got to do the selling. There's two different kinds. There's product selling where you talk about features, and then there's storytelling signs, right? Imagine how happy your puppy's going to be with a brand new toy, right? Imagine how much fun your cat will have with this cat toy. Imagine how much better your dog's teeth are going to look when you've got this chew going, etc. That kind of thing, okay? One thing I learned from another company called Kaiser and Bender, which does a lot of visual merchandising. I invite you to check them out too, by the way. But they taught me this thing about font size. Think about who your customers are from the low to the high, okay? And whoever the average customer is on the upper end, not the oldest customer that ever walked into your store, not the guy's been eating yogurt since he's 10, he's 105, not that guy, okay? But if if your customer peaks out around 60 or 65, okay, whatever that oldest age is, you take the oldest customer's age, divide it by 2, and that's the font size the sign should be, okay? You want to sprinkle signs everywhere, okay? Some safety ones in there, but remove any negativity and find a sense of humor about it, okay? I have a Western store, and they did the one about, let's make sure there's a cow's difference between us, okay? Now, also about the signage, listen, establish what your brand is, and let's make sure it's that way, that it's not handwritten, that you're using the fonts and the color stories that match up your store, so it looks like something that's kind of cool and interesting, fun to look at, and draws their attention to it, okay? Okay, your cash wrap, you've probably done this already, but you want to make sure you establish some lines that so people can line up safely and that sort of thing and do it well. If you can put some, plastic around the register, that makes some people feel better, but you want to make sure it's there. But most importantly now, about your register is, do you have great add-on merchandise right around there? Look, that's been a thing, a basic in retail for forever, right? And the grocery stores taught us about that, right? You've been looking at food for 2 hours, so you're hungry, and so that's why you want a candy bar right at the checkout there, right? So, what can we add on? What's right there that we can just grab and go? What fun new little treats are there? What toys can we put there, right? What margin builders can we put there to make sure that we do that properly, okay? And yeah, if you can get some plexiglass going there, great. If not, you want to make a big ceremony of cleaning, okay? People want to see you cleaning. That's going to make them feel safer, So there you go. All right, I'm going to jump into the merchandise area of the section now, which I think is the most important. Okay, right now you got to start looking at your inventory. Okay, because you may have some inventory that's been there for a while. Okay, if that's the case, you want to get out of that older inventory. Identify what do you got that's been there more than 60 days. What's been there more than 90 days? What's been there longer than that? For some people, having that old inventory around, they've had it so long, it's almost like wallpaper. You'd be surprised if it wasn't there, okay? Identify the old stuff that's there, and let's figure out how to convert that to cash. And certainly now, turn is king. It always has been. But right now, we've got to make sure we're planning our sales and planning our inventory to get our turns faster and faster and faster and faster. And we want to utilize something called a vendor scorecard, okay, to determine who are the good vendors and who are the not good vendors. And all of that, okay? So do not do blanket markdowns now, by the way. One of the things that I've seen people try to do, and it has been a glorious failure, is to say everything in the store is 30 off, okay? That's not the answer, okay? The answer now is fresh, new, fun product, okay? How do I bundle things together? How do I combine things so that people actually are buying more? How do we get more demand, more sell-through, that kind of stuff, through bundling product and through making sure that everybody understands the importance of these products for your pets right now. Education in the pet industry is everything. People come to you guys on the boutique level because they want to know what you know about nutrition, about what works and what doesn't work, okay? So you want to, especially as you identify your older inventory, target some promotions. Don't go blanket markdown across the whole store, but pick an area and promote that area, okay? All chews are on sale. Just do the chews, don't do the other areas, and then as they come in, try for the chews, add on to other things, okay? Buy one, get one in toys and treats and chews, by the way, has been phenomenal for a lot of my clients. I recommend that highly because you get them on you get them used to the idea that their pet should get a toy, a treat, a chew, that kind of thing. And the more you do that with them, the more business you're going to drive, okay? So it's also a good time to negotiate with vendors. It's a weird time in the whole vendor thing because, first off, they're having trouble delivering, right? So right now is a good time to start negotiating. I believe that this is the time to ask for the sun, moon, and the stars. I'm starting to see vendors talk about price increases now, and so this is the time to negotiate. Well, if I buy it now, can I avoid that? Can I get under the wire on that whole thing, right? How much time have we lost by stuff that in terms of that? How much time have we lost because of the virus, that you landed goods, that you need more time to sell stuff, and maybe you need more time on some invoices, that kind of stuff? Is there old product in the store that maybe you want to trade out? Okay. I've had these toys for 9 months and no one seems to want them. So what else have you got and can you trade me out? Okay. Can they participate in some selling contests and some spiffs for your salespeople? Okay. And really ask if they're able to deliver. You may have seen an article last week where here in LA, the harbor is full, right? All the ships, all the container ships are in all the ports. And then there's 30 plus ships that are anchored offshore just waiting for a parking spot. So with a lot of this stuff, are they in product? Are they going to be able to deliver? Are they going to be able to get you what you need, right? You want to start asking those questions because if they can't, you got to replace those goods with someone who does have the goods in place, okay? That's true across the board. It's actually true, honestly, with all the different sectors of retail that we talk to now, whether it's you guys or apparel or gift or shoe or housewares or whatever, people are having trouble getting inventory right now. The vendors are behind. So got to watch out for that. Got to watch out for price increases. Got to protect those margins. Okay. So one of the things that I talk about a lot, and I'm a big proponent of this, is this thing called cash margin. I want you to start to think about that. Okay. A lot of times, and the reason, by the way, I talk about cash margin is it came out of this conversation. A lot of times, you do your profit and loss statement with your accountant at the end of the year, and he says you had a great year, and so here's the profit, and here's how it all went, and here's the money you owe in taxes, and you go, oh my God, I don't have that money. How am I supposed to pay that tax bill? Look at what that is, right? Where's that money? Well, that money is all over your floor typically, right? So watch this example with me, okay? Let's say you talk to a vendor and you like what they have and you buy $2,000 worth of product from them. And let's just pretend it's not a food product, it's something else. So you buy it for $2,000 and you plan to put it out for $5,000, right? 2.5 times markup, not super crazy, unusual kind of thing, okay? So if I'm going to put it out, if I'm going to buy it for $2,000 and put it out for $5,000, it means I'm going to profit $3,000. And that's going to go towards things like rent and payroll and marketing and utilities and that kind of stuff. And maybe once in a while, for me, the owner, I might get a donut. Okay. All right. So I spent $2,000 with the vendor. I'm hoping to get $5,000. My planned margin is $3,000. But what happens? I only sell $3,750 of it. Okay. Maybe there were markdowns. Maybe I had to give some away. Maybe I took some home for me. Maybe some of it's still sitting on the shelves unsold, even though I thought it was going to be sold in that time period, right? So my actual cash margin is what I really sold, the $3,750, minus what I spent is the $2,000, which is only $1,750, not the $3,000 I thought I was going to get. Okay, so I planned for $3,000. I only got $1,750. I'm short $1,250. Hey, Mr. Vendor, what can we do? Okay, now some vendors will do nothing. It's just part of the gig. They just don't do anything. But some will, right? So you want to ask that question by doing this math example on the cash margin with them, okay, and making sure they understand it, okay? So, I think fall and holiday are going to be great, okay? But if we're getting stuff from overseas, you got to watch out for that. You got to make sure that they're actually going to be able to deliver to you, okay? I still think we need to be lean and mean and turn faster in fall and holiday. There's going to be great growth then, but I think we can, and we can maybe be a little bit more aggressive in terms of our sales forecasts there, okay? But I think there's lots of opportunities out there now. One of the opportunities that's out there that I'm hearing more and more about that I hope that you're taking advantage of is there may be certain vendors that could not ship you before for a variety of reasons. Maybe there was competitors that did it. Maybe they were saturated. Maybe they didn't want to. Maybe you were too new, that kind of stuff. But, obviously not every store survived this whole thing. And as the vendors try to recoup losses from what happened in the prior year, they may be willing to ship you now when they weren't willing to ship you before. So something to think about there. Okay? All right. Now, I'm about to share with you what I think is the most important slide of this webinar, so bear with me, okay? Right now, selling is going to start to, for most of my pet stores, we're sort of evened out a little bit better right now because we had an amazing 2019 for a lot of pet stores, right? Because we were considered essential retail and people didn't get shut down. But what we need to make sure we have right now is a viable sales plan, a sales plan that you believe in, okay? And for those of you that have multiple stores, is that sales plan by location, by category, right? Dog food, and sometimes dog food's broken up: dry versus canned versus raw versus freeze dried, dehydrated, etc. Okay, need a category, a sales plan that's by location, by month, by category, and we have to watch it to make sure we believe in it and it's the right thing. Okay, now, because I have such a big independent retail database, I'm pretty confident in the forecasting we can do. But, having a solid sales forecast is step one. And then having an inventory forecast that enables you to figure out where is my inventory going to finish after my selling period is critical to your cash flow, right? It always has been. It's always been a core function of profitable retailing. But now more than ever, it's even more critical. While we've got all these inventory weirdness things happening, while vendors are talking about cost increases to us, right? While we're trying to figure out where our customers are, while we're trying to market to them effectively, right? All of that stuff is hugely important. So having a sales plan and an inventory plan that gets us there is everything. If you don't know how to have that in place for your store, or if you don't know how to do it, or if you're unsure, reach out to me. That's what I'm here to help you with, okay? But that to me is the heartbeat of your store, right? You have you spend more money on inventory than anything else, and so having that manicured and curated and running properly is the key to your profitability and key to your success. More than any of the marketing you can do, more than anything else you can do, having the right inventory is critical to everything. Okay? All right. But let me jump into marketing because I know you want to talk about that, but I don't want to lose the importance of that last one, okay? Making sure you've got a sales plan, making sure you've got an inventory plan is everything to your store. It is the key to your future. Believe me when I tell you, in this thing for too many years, to tell you that the guys that rise and fall, the guys that make it and don't make it, are the guys that have planned their sales and planned their inventory levels properly so they turn faster and faster and faster. If you're not comfortable with that, you must get a plan for that. Whether you do it through me or through somebody else, that is the key to your survival now and well into the future. Okay, I ranted a little bit there. I'm sorry about that. I went a little crazy on you, but it's because I'm passionate about that. I believe in that. I really, really do. All right, but let me get into the marketing things here really quick, okay? So if you thought it was crazy before COVID, it's even crazier now. I mean, obviously there's more e-commerce players out there now, and because we couldn't really do a lot of the ways that we used to do to reach out to customers, you know, everybody did things electronically, right? Live events on Instagram and Facebook and more emails and that kind of thing. You've got to be at the same level as everybody else is with that kind of stuff. You've got to push that harder and harder and harder, right? I'm going to talk more about that here in a moment, but certainly, you know, you've got to keep up with that volume in terms of the marketing stuff, okay? First, I think the messaging has to be right. It's not about discounting. You can't do a big doorbuster, everything 40 off sale right now. You can't do it. First off, you probably can't afford to do it. But secondly, even if you could, your customers are going to come out for a doorbuster sale. So you've got to target that. But more importantly, I think, is that you've got to make sure that when you talk about your store and you talk about your marketing, it's got to be about fresh, new, fun product. It's got to be that your store is safe, that it's good to be there, that you're cleaning all the time, okay? It's about supporting local retail, that, you know, you're the local retail shop and you have been for forever and you're going to be there even after this is all over. And it's about what's new, what's fresh, what's fun, and it's not going to be here for forever, so you better get in here now and start working on that. Okay, so that's what the messaging needs to be for sure. Okay, I think you got to do it like this. I would email 2 or 3 times a week. In another webinar I did for Global Pet, I went through some email math examples. I don't have time in this webinar to do it, but let me tell you something. Okay, I'll just give you this one statistic, which is really important. Email more than anything else you do, more than social media, more than newspaper, radio, TV, billboards, okay? No matter what else you do, email is the #1 driver of sales at retail. I've seen it to be true, but also that's what the NRF, National Retail Federation, will tell you, that the Direct Marketing Association of America will tell you. Email marketing is #1, baby. That's how it works. So you got to make sure you're emailing at least 2 or 3 times a week. Some of you worry about, oh my God, if I email that often, I'm going to annoy my customer, they're going to unsubscribe. Well, you know what? Probably in the time that you're watching this webinar, department stores have emailed you 3 times, but you're still there. You haven't unsubscribed yet, right? It takes a lot to get them to unsubscribe. It really, really does. So you know what? As long as your unsubscribe rate is less than 2%, you're fine, okay? You still have to do the social media posting on a regular basis. Why? Because they expect it, and it's something they're looking at more often than anything else, and so it puts you in their head, right? It's mind share, okay? Do lots and lots of video. I talk about video a lot. The #1 search engine on the planet is Google. The #2 search engine is YouTube. So make sure you're present on YouTube. Don't just do the videos and throw them up onto social media there. Save the video, create a YouTube channel for your store, and put your videos there too. Make it easy for them to find your videos on YouTube, and you'll find it drives more web traffic. It drives more future sales. It's an important thing. Okay? Cross-promote with other businesses that are near you. Okay, reach out to me if you need some ideas on that one. I'm just worried I'm running out of time, so I'm going to move a little fast here. Okay, but again, the message is that you've got amazing new product. You're safe, you're friendly, you're fun. You're the local retail store for them. You've got what you need for their pets. You've got the knowledge, the product knowledge that they need to solve any pet problem, whether it be like finicky eater or bad coat problems or digestive problems or any of those things that are going on. You know, you are going to be their friends and their local resource for all that kind of stuff, and you want to promote that in your marketing stuff. Okay? All right. Let me talk about selling for a moment. I love talking about selling. Okay. Now, it's a weird time, right? There's still some customers that are petrified right now, right? Afraid to come in, afraid to talk to you, afraid to talk to other people, afraid they're going to get this thing, that kind of stuff. And you want to be warm and gentle and inviting and there with them. Some are going to be too brave. You know, some are going to be like, virus, what are you talking about? And come at you, that kind of thing, right? Which will be scary for some people. Find the middle about this. And try not to talk about the virus when they're in the store if you can. Okay, let's talk about where you're headed now. Hey, what are you going to do this fall? Are you going to travel this winter? Right? Can you, President Biden last night talked about July 4th barbecue. Does that seem real to you? You up for that? You going to barbecue? Isn't that exciting? Look ahead. Don't look back. Look at what's next. There's enough people already talking about the virus and the nightmare of all that kind of stuff. Try to stay away from that as much as you can. I know that's hard. It's the number one thing on the headlines, blah, 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 that kind of thing. But as much as you can stay away from it, the healthier the conversations are going to be and the more focused on product it's going to be, right? You guys, especially in the pet industry, have a great opportunity to talk about what's going on with your pet. Everybody wants to talk about their pet. Before I started this webinar, the folks from Global Pet and I were talking about our pets because that's what we do. We're pet owners. So there you go. All right. So, social distancing is not emotional distancing. That means that you can still be close with them even though you're 6 feet away, okay? Make sure your signage is great like we've talked about. Lots of greetings, lots of open-ended questions. Forget about the fitting room. That's not for you guys. But keeping the place clean and safe is critical to everything we're talking about here, okay? Okay. I believe that alternative selling is going to continue here, okay? So curbside pickup, e-commerce, buy online, pick up in store, buy online, pick up at the curb, after hour appointments, delivery, all that stuff is going to continue to be there. So don't miss out on those opportunities, okay? Make sure that you're systemically set up to do all those things going forward, okay? So I want to talk a little bit about staffing, and I stole this from social media because it made me laugh. Our cleaning they just called and said she'll be working from home. There you go, okay? So look, some are afraid to come back. Some are going to be weird in terms of scheduling, that kind of stuff. But here's the other thing, okay? I think now is the time to really rethink who your staff are. Who's in, who's out, okay? And for the people that are even in, right, are they the best of the best? Are they the ones that are going to give the best customer service possible? Unfortunately, some of the other industries didn't do as well as retail did throughout this whole pandemic, right? The restaurant industry got crushed. A lot of the manufacturers got crushed, right? I didn't even think about things like dry cleaners got crushed, right? So there's some people that are on the street that really would like to work. And as long as they're outgoing and willing, okay, they're worth considering putting them into your store, okay? So they probably need some training on how to sell with social distancing. They need to understand how to talk about the product from far away and that kind of stuff and still maintain the level of feeling personal even while they're social distancing. And that's probably something you want to drill with them, okay? But, think about who your staff is and think about how coming out of this, you can give, memorable customer service so they come back to the store on a regular basis, okay? So I kind of talked about this one already. They definitely need to be retrained. How do I do it? Through social distancing. How do I virtual sell, right? Lots of our stores have done really well with online events through Instagram Live and Facebook Live. If you're not doing that, I think that's going to continue even when the pandemic is just a sad memory, right? So I think you got to learn how to do those kinds of things. If you're not sure, reach out to me after this. I'm happy to tell you what some successful retailers have done on that one. But it's a super great way to do things, and I think you want to keep that going. And again, how do they stay positive? How do they, continue to bend the conversation towards positive, important things? Okay? Of course, protection-wise, masks and gloves. Some stores are wearing booties. I think we're beyond that now, but some stores are. How do we open and close properly? How do we make sure they're not sick? Are you testing them, that kind of stuff, right? Taking their temperature. What do they do when they go home? Are they around other people that could get other people sick? You want to watch out for that. And again, I'm a big fan of only getting data from the CDC website. There's so many websites with so many crazy things going on with the virus and stuff like that, where they'll tell you all kinds of wild numbers. Stay with the CDC, stay with local authorities that really have viable information. Okay? All right, finance really quick, cash is king. So if you have not done your break even, now's a good time to do it, okay? We've got a thing called a 12-week cash flow planner. If you don't have one of those, reach out to me. I'm happy to send it to you for free, okay? Everything's negotiable now. So start negotiating. And I'm concerned because costs are starting to rise. So you really want to get your negotiating hat on. If you're not sure about how to negotiate, reach out to me. I'm happy to talk to you about things you're worried about negotiating and talk through some strategies about that one. Okay. Try to convert as much of your fixed expenses to variable expenses. A lot of landlords have gone to variable rent payments and stuff like that. So I'm a big believer in that. Okay. Certainly the PPP and the EIDL are happening right now. Hopefully you've applied for it again. If you're stuck with that one, if it hasn't happened, please, please, please reach out to me. I've got some great SBA resources to help you with to make that happen, okay? I think also now you've got to prepare for how you're going to demonstrate that you've used the money for the right thing so you get the forgiveness. But here's a really super important thing that I learned about just yesterday. And that is there's a thing called the ERTC, right? Employee Retained Tax Credit thing that you get amazing benefits for 2020 and even for 2021. There are rules about that are still sort of coming together. It has to do with whether your volume was up or down from the prior year and that sort of thing. That said, you can use this ERTC money as long as you didn't use some of the PPP money for payroll. You can't double dip, right? You can't say, well, I used my PPP money for that, but I also want this earned retention credit for that also, the ERTC for that. So there's this new thing coming. So watch out for ERTC. Ask your accountant about it. Ask your financial planner about it. If they don't know much about it, reach out to us. I actually have some people that are specializing in ERTC right now to help people figure out how they can get through all of that stuff, okay? So watch out for that for sure, okay? But certainly, no matter what, with the PPP and the EIDL, you want to create separate either general ledger accounts or checking accounts for that money so that you are really tracing where that money is going to, so that when it comes time to prepare your forgiveness, which you want to think about now, that you're prepared to do that. But if you're going to look for the ERTC credits and stuff like that, be careful about how you use the forgiveness and the PPP so you don't lose out the ability to get the ERTC thing going also, okay? All right. This is the time for action, okay? We've all talked a lot about what's happened to this virus, but now we got to make sure we have an action plan, right? So go through the sections here, make your plans, right? Make sure your floor layout is great. Make sure your inventory and your sales are great. Make sure you've talked to your salespeople about how to approach people from a distance. Make sure your marketing talks about new, fresh, fun stuff and is targeting some of the areas that you really want to sell into, okay? I have all this converted into check sheets for you if you want. Reach out to me, more than happy to do that. But really look at the things that we talked about in each of these sections. And it's the kind of thing where you really want to kind of sequester yourself a little bit maybe and take yourself into a whole other space, not your store and not your house, but some other place where you can be alone and really make sure that you've thought through how you're going to do this and make your plan for all this stuff, okay? From my heart, I want to tell you this next thing, okay? I can draw a line between the people that are beating last year, the people that are doing fine right now in this, that their businesses are healthy, and those that are struggling. And that line is the level of energy and enthusiasm and excitement they bring to the store. I've got a store that actually is doubling last year's sales. And you know why she's doubling? Because she went, I'm not going to be a victim to this virus. I'm going to attack it. I'm going to make sure I'm fresh, I'm exciting, I'm fun. I'm going to make sure my customers know that I'm still around, that the store is still here, that I've got amazing product for them. I'm going to pivot my assortment a little bit to make sure it fits in with what's going on. But certainly, I'm going to do everything I can to make this thing work, okay? So make sure you're thinking about it in all those lines. Survival is about being alluring. It's about being interesting. It's about being fun. It's not about succumbing to this whole thing. I've seen some stores do some really bad things about, please shop with us. We're the independent retailer and we could die. That's the absolute wrong message. The right message is we're an independent retail. We're here. We're the same people that bought ads in the programs for your kids' soccer teams and concerts and bands and stuff like that, right? Being up and alive and fresh and fun is the kind of thing that people really find, they find it attractive and they want to be around it, especially now, okay? So every politician ever talks about how small business is the backbone of the economy, right? Don't we hear that all the time? It's so true. You are the backbone of the economy, but that also makes you the backbone of the society, right? You're the backbone of your own backyard. You're the backbone of your community right there. As such, you are the backbone of that humanity that's right there, right? And they're all looking to you to survive, okay? They're all looking to independent retail to come back and be strong and that sort of thing, okay? So think of it that way. Think of it in terms of your responsibility to your community that way. But don't do it alone. If you're nervous about this, if you're unsure, if you feel like things are not going the right way, reach out to me. Talk to me about what's happening with your business. I'm here to help you, okay? And by the way, the first hour, I'll just give this away now, even though I'm going to talk about it in a minute here. The first hour that we work with you is absolutely free, okay? With no future commitment. So if you're unsure about some things and want to talk about some stuff, reach out to me. I'm happy to help you any way I can, okay? So there's all my contact information for all of that stuff, okay? So if you need help with your marketing, if you need help with your selling, if you need help with any of those kinds of things, please reach out to me. My phone number is there. My email is there. That phone number, by the way, is my cell phone. So I'm obviously not answering it now while I'm doing this webinar, but you know what? I am continuing to answer phone calls day and night from wherever it comes from. So if you're unsure, please reach out to me. I'm here to help you in any way I can. My email address is there. I have a personal policy. I don't go to sleep at night unless my inbox is empty. So if you reach out for me, I guarantee you're going to get a response and you'll get one quickly. By the way, we're also helping retailers in other ways. So if you need help with bookkeeping, if you need help with purchase order entry, if you need help with social media postings or that kind of stuff, any of the administrative stuff that's keeping you from being attached to your inventory, attached to your selling, attached to your customers, if there's anything administratively that's taking you up, we're doing that stuff at below minimum wage pricing. We're doing it to make sure that those administrative overheads don't keep you from the core of your business to the core of your survival. Okay, so that's all my information. That's everything I have to tell you. I want to thank my friends at Global Pet Expo again for allowing me to do this presentation for you. The goal here is to make sure that you not only survive what we're going through right now, but that you thrive well into the future. And if you apply the things that I've talked about here, these are things that I can tell you what other successful retailers are doing. If you apply them to your store, you will make it. And we need you to make it, so we want you to make it. And if you're at all unsure about any of this stuff, you know where to reach me now. You know where to find me. Find me, let me help you, let me get you to the next level with this whole thing so that your store does great. Again, my thanks to Global Pet Expo. I hope you guys are enjoying the show, and hopefully we'll do the next one live, right? But there you go. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Global Pet Expo. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you all soon.